your sophomore year, you end up doing a TED Talk at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. So why don't you explain a little bit about how did you come about to do that? And then what was the message you were really trying to drive home there?
Yeah. I had just gotten an email saying like, hey, we saw you on Reddit. We're coming up with this TED Talk event at Ohio State. We'd love for you to be a part of it. And I was like, okay, sure. At that time, I had done Symposium for like 4 years. And so Symposium taught me how to speak publicly and gave me the courage to get over my stage fright. So from a logistical level, I was definitely prepared. So the main point I wanted to convey was just introduce people to Sikhi and to contextualize like myself and who I am within that framework to 750 people who had never heard of me, seen me before, and had only known me through that Reddit incident.
But you have 84,000 views on that video.
Oh,
so
do I?
It's not just 750 people anymore.
Right. But in that moment, I just wanted to convey like where I saw my story fitting in with the story of the Sikhs. Right. And so I brought up Guru Tegh Bahadur, I brought up Guru Nanak.
No, the Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji lead-in that you did was awesome. Because actually, that was exactly what I thought about when I first heard about the Reddit incident, right? That was the same thing I thought about, that the Guru Sahib made us to stick out for a reason. And this may seem a little controversial to say it this way, but like, if there's going to be a hate crime, it's supposed to be against us. You know, if someone's going to say something racist, we're designed to be the ones that take it first.
Yeah.
Because we're made to stand out that way. And it should be a warning to others that if it's happening to the Sikhs, it can happen to anybody else down that line. So now that it happened to us, we should take action. And that I thought about it that way too. And so when you led in with that story of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji and how nobody came forward to claim his head, and then Guru Gobind Singh's desire to make a Sikh stand out, that you can't hide from your principles and who you are. Yeah. So I thought that was a really, really great way to do that. And the other thing that I found really interesting about it was the way you connected it personally with everybody. But I got to ask you something though. Did they give you like a TED Talk training? Because every TED Talk, they use that same kind of speech pattern where you kind of start off and then you kind of go higher and then you ask a question and then you come down again.
No, I'm an avid procrastinator. And that point in my life, I had no idea of like time management. So they would send me emails like, hey, we're meeting up to practice here. And I'd be like, oh no, I have an exam tomorrow that I didn't know and I need to study for. But I actually finished my speech the night before.
Oh, wow.
So, because I didn't know for the longest time what I wanted to say, and what felt right, because there were so many narratives that I had absorbed from other people who had seen the Reddit post, and they were telling me like, wow, Balpreet, you're awesome. Like, this is great. And I was like, yeah, that's what you're saying, but what do I feel about this? How is this relevant to my life? Like, how have I learned and grown from this? So it was a lot of picking apart like what the world is saying and what I was feeling at that moment. So when the spotlight is on you, you know, you are introduced to other people's versions of your story. And I constantly have to navigate those expectations now, where it's like people see me and they see only the Reddit girl, or they only see a Kaur who has gaze on her face, or they only see the Starwali Bibi, which is fine. I am all of those things. But I then have to think deeper and say, no, what is the Guru telling me? What is the Guru pointing out to me? And so it took a couple of months, and it took a lot of self-reflection. And the story I had offered to the TEDx audience was really an honest account of how I saw myself fitting in to this larger history, right?
Yeah.
Because I claim, and I think all Sikhs do this too, like everything I am is because of the Guru. Everything I am is because of the Panth. And so how do I explain that to an audience that has never heard this before?
Right.
But looking back to the TED Talk now, there's so many. I wouldn't do that same TED Talk.
Okay. Well, I mean, you only have 10, 15 minutes anyway, right?
Yeah.
They're all supposed to be less than 15 minutes or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's not a whole lot of time to tell a big story.
Yeah.
But what would you do different? What would you say different? Or what would you want to say different?
That's a good question.
What I'm here for.
Yeah, I know. And I've thought about this a lot because my relationship to Sikhi has changed and evolved and grown and lessened, and like all of these things over the past 8 years. I think if I had to redo my TED Talk, I would not be so idealistic.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think the original message of my TED Talk that was perceived was like kindness solves everything.
Right.
And that the Guru points us to be kind. Yes, the Guru does point us to be kind, but Guru also points us to be courageous. And sometimes you have to do unkind things to be courageous.
Yeah, you have to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Right.
Yeah. And I think I think the way that I had told the story, like what of Guru Tegh Bahadur and Guru Nanak Jagjeet, what was it? Manjita Jagjeet, right? Like that was more like, this is how I'm applying it to my personal life. But if I had to redo that TED Talk, I would zoom out and focus on how Sikh history informs like actual problem solving for the world's problems, right? Like how it actually gives us solutions to the world's problems from a systemic level, rather than focus on like how Sikh history inspires me personally. Because I think the Panthic and personal, right, part of Sikhi, those two sides of the same coin, we often conflate the personal with the Panthic, the individual with the systemic. And now I'm a big proponent of just keep your personal Sikhi to yourself, and know that, onu gupt rakho, but think about ways that you can really have a Panthic life as well.